The house inhaled wrong and my joy forgot how to breathe. 18 came to me in steam. Warm water held my shoulders and I laughed at the way birthdays sound when you cannot see them. Pipes humming, tiles ticking, the small applause of drops. I pressed my palms to my cheeks and smiled at the room. Happy birthday, I said soft because miracles don't like shouting. My mother always answered. Marilyn had a voice that arrived before her footsteps, a lilac warmth that filled rooms. This morning the house kept her secret. No reply. No clink of mugs. No gospel leaking from the radio. Caleb should have knocked by now. My brother made jokes out of mornings. He had been gone a week, just work, he said, but absence is a weight you feel in the chest, not the mind. I tipped my face into the spray and let happiness pretend to be enough. Then my gift stirred. It begins behind my ears, a thin electricity, a tightening of air. I don't see, never have, but I sense intention the way others feel weather. My mother calls it nerves. My brother calls it luck. I know better. It is listening. The house drew itself smaller. I turned the water down. Steam thinned. Silence grew teeth. Outside, tires on gravel. Not easing. Not settling. A stop without apology. Cars park politely. This one halted like a thought cut short. I froze. Our street wakes gently. Sparrows, Mrs. Geller's radio, the neighbor's screen door coughing. All of it gone. Even the pipes paused as if ashamed to speak. Mom. My voice was light, birthday light. It fell and did not come back. I reached for the shelf and counted the faithful, soap, cloth, towel folded neat. My cane leaned by the sink, patient. I closed my eyes out of habit and opened what I have instead. The air near the front of the house thickened, deliberate, a shape without edges. Keys turned. Relief leapt. Only family had keys, then died. My mother's keys sing. These did not. The door opened. I shut the water. Cold rushed in like truth. My heart answered too fast. Caleb. I tried again. Nothing. Would accepted wait downstairs. Careful. Respectful. The way men walk when they do not want God to hear. My gift burned. The upstairs felt chosen. I wrapped my towel tight and took my cane. 2 soft taps mapped the floor. My bedroom waited like a held breath. Another door opened. Then another. Polite. Patient. Steps found the stairs. They did not wander. They climbed as if summoned. I pressed my back to tile and listened for mercy. The house offered none. Halfway up the steps paused. I felt a smile I could not see. I moved, 2 quick taps toward my room. Carpet swallowed sound. My door exhaled before I touched it. The knob turned. For a heartbeat, hope flared, lilac laughter, my brother's knock. What entered instead smelled of metal and soap, a stranger's patience. Mom. My voice broke on the name. Music slammed on somewhere below, too loud, too cheerful, rearranging the house into a lie. The room tilted. The cane skittered. The world closed. I will not cross the blank that follows. Some doors close to keep you alive. When sound returned, it was laughter downstairs, men speaking like a task had been checked off. A door closed. The house exhaled again, wrong as before. Hours, or minutes, later familiar hands found me. Marilyn's hands. My mother's grief has a temperature. She cleaned me with sobs, with apologies that fell apart mid-sentence. She whispered my name as if it were a wound. Sirens came. Questions. The house filled with uniforms and judgment. I need help, my mother said into the phone, breath breaking. Please. While they waited, I felt her move, fast now frantic. Paper whispered. A drawer slid. Then a sound I had never heard from her, a breath that shattered. She did not read the note aloud. He did not need to. I felt its weight land on the room. Her voice changed. When the police arrived, the story changed with it. Burglary, she said. They broke in. Took things. No one said my name. Caleb burst in later, eyes searching corners before they found me. They were here, he asked. My mother said nothing. Silence stood where truth should have been. Only later, when the house was empty again and the air finally dared to move, did she press her forehead to mine and whisper what the paper had commanded. Change the girl or bring my money. 24 hours. Fail and I kill all of you. 18 had arrived in steam. It left with a choice written in someone else's hand. The truth did not arrive gently. Kick the door in. My mother sat me on the edge of the bed, hands locked together as if praying to keep from shaking. Caleb stood near the window back to us, counting his breaths the way guilty men do. I did not need my gift to know. The air was already bruised. Say it, I told them. Say what you're not saying. Silence stretched. It always breaks first. Caleb turned. His voice came out older than him. It's money, Eve. My name sounded wrong in his mouth. How much? I asked. He swallowed. 20,000. The number landed heavy. It was not the kind of money people borrow. It was the kind people disappear over. From who? I said. My mother answered instead. Men who don't wait, she whispered. Men who don't forgive. The room narrowed. My heart began to sprint, wild and directionless. Caleb stepped closer. I was trying to fix things. After Dad died, everything fell on me. Rent, bills, your school. I thought I could turn it around before anyone noticed. You noticed, I said. He nodded once. Too late. The note burned in my mind. Change the girl or bring my money. Not rob. Not steal. Change. My gift flared sharp as pain. The house was no longer a house. It was a ledger. They came for you because of me, Caleb said, breaking. They came because I owe. My mother reached for me. Her touch was heavy with apology. If he doesn't pay, she said, voice collapsing, they kill us. All of us. The words struck like blows. My chest tightened. Breath shortened. The room tilted, then folded inward. My heart began to race itself to pieces. Stop, I whispered. Please, stop. But truth does not stop once it has learned your name. Caleb's voice cracked. I didn't know what else to do. The walls leaned in. Sound thinned. My gift went white hot, then dimmed as if mercy itself had shut its eyes. Pain bloomed behind my ribs. My pulse slammed against my throat. The world lost its edges. Evelyn, my mother cried far away. Evelyn. The floor rose to meet me. Hands caught me, too many, not enough. Voices blurred into water. Someone shouted for help. Someone else prayed. Then came the siren. The ambulance smelled of metal and urgency. Lights flickered red through my closed eyes, beating time with my heart. Oxygen kissed my face. Fingers pressed my wrist, counting what I was losing. Stay with us, a voice said. I tried. The hospital swallowed me whole. Bright corridors I could feel without seeing, beds that hummed, machines that argued with my chest. Hands moved fast. Words flew past me like birds. Above it all, one truth stood still. I was not taken by chance. I was taken by design. The lights faded to a soft, merciful dark. And somewhere beyond it, the debt waited. I woke to cold. Not the honest cold of morning, but a metal cold that steals heat and keeps it. My back met a slab, aluminum, rust-bitten at the edges, its chill leaching into my bones as if it meant to stay. I tried to sit. Pain answered before movement could. There were no windows. No breath of street. No clock to argue with my heart. Silence pressed from every side, thick and padded, the kind built to swallow sound before it learns to cry. Even my breathing seemed to disappear as soon as it left me. I reached out. The room answered in angles. One wall, then another, close enough to bruise hope. The air tasted old. Iron and damp. Fear has a flavor. It coats the tongue. I listen with what I have. Nothing moved. No pipes. No traffic. No birds. This place had been taught to forget the world. My gift stirred, confused. Time usually hums. Past brushing present. Tomorrow tapping early. Here it went mute. The moment stood still, nailed to itself. I understood then. This room was not meant for living. It was meant for keeping. Footsteps came. Not rushed. Not cautious. Certain. The sound cut through silence like a blade through cloth, and my pulse leapt to meet it. I did not scream. I learned already what screaming costs. The door opened. Light entered, not sunlight, not mercy, just enough to remind me I still had a body. He filled the doorway as if the space had been measured for him. I knew him without seeing. Some presences announced themselves. His did not need to speak. It settled, heavy and proprietary, like a hand on a shoulder that never asked permission. Awake, he said, pleased. His voice was calm. That was the worst part. I pulled my knees to my chest. Metal burned skin. I bit my lip to keep my breath from shaking. You fainted, he continued, conversational. Happens. He stepped closer. Leather whispered. I smelled soap again. Metal. Control. What do you want? I asked. My voice surprised me, thin but standing. He laughed softly as if I had told a joke meant just for him. Then he crouched so his breath found my face so I would know exactly where he was. I already have it. The words landed slow, deliberate. I own you now. Something inside me cracked. Not loud, not clean, just a small final sound like a key breaking in a lock. My heart began to pound, but I forced my breath steady. Panic feeds men like him. Stillness starves them. You were paid for, he went on, standing again. That makes things simple. Paid. Not taken. Purchased. The room tilted then steadied. I pressed my palms to the metal and grounded myself in the pain. Pain is honest. Tells you where you are. By name, I said. You don't get to take that. He paused. I felt his attention sharpen. Evelyn, he said, tasting it. Pretty. The door opened wider behind him. Voices murmured somewhere far off. Indistinct, unimportant to him. He was finished for now. Men like this know how to leave before mercy has a chance to return. Rest, he said lightly. You'll need strength. Then, softer, like a kindness he expected me to thank him for. This room has no time. You won't miss it. The door closed. The lock slid home with a sound that settled in my spine. I lay back against the metal and stared into the dark I could not see, listening for my gift to speak. It did not. Time did not. God did not. Only my heart, still stubborn, still alive. In that room without time I learned my new reality. Survival would be an act of defiance. He did not raise his voice when he returned. Men like him never do. The door opened. Light entered. The room tightened around his presence as if it knew him well. I felt my spine straighten before my mind agreed. He did not touch me at first. He let the silence work. Your mother cries easily, he said almost kindly. Your brother lies badly. My breath caught. I said nothing. I don't enjoy mess, he continued. So we will do this clean. I waited. Waiting is its own language. If you fight, he said, they suffer. If you behave, they live. The words were simple. That was the cruelty. No riddles. No romance. A rule. My gift flared. Images I did not ask for. My mother's hands shaking, Caleb's back turned, the house inhaling wrong. The threat did not need to be repeated. It had already learned my name. I won't hurt them, he said as if offering mercy. You will decide that. The room swayed. My heart stumbled then steadied. Survival has a sound. It is quiet. What do you want? I asked. He smiled. I felt it. Smiles have weight when they belong to ownership. Obedience, he said. Attention. Gratitude. Gratitude. The word cut. You will eat when I say, he went on. You will rest when I allow. You will do what you are told and nothing else will be taken from your family. I nodded once. It was not agreement. It was arithmetic. This is how I learned to leave. I learned to step backward inside myself, to fold my fear into a corner where it would not scream. I learned to breathe shallow so my chest would not betray me. I learned to make my face still, to offer nothing he could bruise. When the body becomes a battleground, the mind evacuates. I floated above the metal bed. I watched myself from a safe distance, small, quiet, compliant. I memorized the room from the ceiling down. The door. The lock. The places where sound died. I counted his steps. I learned his rhythms. I became good. That is the word the world uses. Good. After he would speak as if we had shared something. He would adjust the light. He would leave instructions. He would promise safety in exchange for silence. I accepted every lie. When pain came, I named it something else. Weather. Noise. A lesson. Anything but mine. At night, if night still existed, I whispered my mother's name until it lost its edges. I pictured Caleb whole. Breathing. Alive. This is how ownership works. It convinces you that obedience is love and survival is consent. I survived. But I did not stay. I learned to leave my body because staying would have killed me. Water again. They brought me to it when my body ached and my spirit thinned, when obedience had made me quiet enough to be useful. The bath was deep, the kind meant to rinse evidence, not heal wounds. The room smelled of bleach and metal and something trying too hard to be clean. Wash, he said. I obeyed because obedience had become a language I spoke to keep others breathing. The water closed around me, heavy and warm. For a moment the world softened. Sound dulled. The ache in my bones loosened its grip. And then my gift woke. Not sharp this time. Persistent. The steam thickened and within it, light. Not the blinding kind I imagined sight to be, but a clarity that pressed against my mind. Shapes formed where there should have been none. White cloth. It moved without wind, folding and unfolding like breath. It did not cover, it revealed. Peace clung to it the way fear clings to walls. Then the cross. Not gold. Not shining. Simple. Worn smooth by hands that had held on too long. It stood steady, patient, as if it had been waiting for me to notice. Last came the Bible. Closed. Heavy. Resting where my heart would be if I let it. The vision did not shout. It did not explain itself. It only stayed. Tears rose before I knew why. They fell into the bath and disappeared, swallowed without sound. I pressed my fingers to the tub's edge and breathed through the ache in my chest. What does holiness want with a girl like me? What does light do in a place built for dark? The vision faded slowly, like someone leaving a room without slamming the door. Steam returned to steam. Water to water. Pain to pain. But something had shifted. Not hope, not yet. Hope felt too loud, too dangerous. This was quieter. A suggestion. A promise that did not ask to be believed. Later, alone again, I traced the shapes in my mind. Cloth. Cross. But I did not know what they meant, only that they had found me on purpose. In a place designed to erase me, something had remembered my name. And for the first time since the door closed, I believed, without understanding, that the story was not finished. Luxury has a sound. It is quiet in a way that pretends to be peace. Thick carpets swallowing footsteps, walls padded with money, air conditioned to forget seasons. When they moved me, I knew it before the car stopped. Space opened around me like a lie rehearsed too well. This is better, Victor said. You'll be comfortable. Comfort. Another word he had stolen. The apartment smelled expensive. Citrus, polished wood, something floral meant to soften control. I could feel the height of the ceilings by the way my voice lifted when I spoke. I could hear the city far below, distant and obedient. A cage does not stop being a cage because it is lined with silk. He showed me the rooms as if I were a guest. Bedroom. Bath. Kitchen stocked with food I did not choose. Windows I could not open. Doors that locked from the outside. You behave, he said calmly, and this is your world. I nodded. Nodding had become survival. When he left, the quiet pressed in, thick, expectant. I stood alone and listened. No guards breathing nearby. No immediate threat. Just space. That was when I went to the bathroom. The mirror waited, useless to me, but I knew where everything was. I ran water. Found scissors in a drawer. They were sharp. They wanted purpose. I gathered my hair in my hands. Hair carries memory. Hands. Pulls. Wait. I cut. The sound was small, almost shy, but with every slice something loosened inside my chest. Strands fell into the sink, then the floor. I kept cutting until my head felt lighter, unfamiliar. I touched the short edges and breathed. That girl is gone, I told myself. She does not live here anymore. In the bath I stayed longer than necessary. I learned the echo of the room. The distance between fixtures. Where sound lingered and where it died. I memorized the apartment the way soldiers memorize exits. I began to detach. Not cold. Not empty. I answered when spoken to. I moved when told. But inside I watched. I counted Victor's steps. Timed his visits. Noted his moods by the pressure of his presence. He liked control more than cruelty. He liked to be admired. He hated surprises. I gave him none. When he spoke, I listened past his words to what he did not say. When he touched, I learned where he lingered and why. I stored details like weapons. He mistook my quiet for surrender. That was his first mistake. At night, alone in sheets that smelled like nothing I owned, I replayed the vision. White cloth, cross, book. I did not pray yet. I was not ready to ask for things I might not survive receiving. But I stayed awake. And waking, I learned this truth. If I was going to live, it would not be by breaking my chains loudly. It would be by studying the lock. It did not arrive with noise. That was the first thing I learned. Luxury buildings hide their mess politely. Trash is removed the way secrets are, scheduled, quiet, efficient. I noticed it only because absence makes room for attention. The first month Victor left early. His footsteps were faster than usual, keys impatient, coat brushed on once instead of twice. I felt the apartment loosen the moment the door closed behind him, as if it had been holding its breath in service. I stood still. Listen. 10 minutes passed. Then a sound the building did not usually make. Deep, hollow, patient. An engine idling low. Not below the window. Not near enough to matter to tenants. Close enough to matter to someone who listens for survival. Metal kissed metal. A hollow clap. Then another. The garbage truck. I had not heard it before because Victor was never gone long enough for it to matter. I moved to the door and pressed my palm against it, counting vibration. Heavy vehicle. Industrial. One of the big ones that eats without chewing. Voices murmured below. Not rushed. Routine. Then the sound that stayed with me. Empty space being filled. A container lifted. Pause. Then wait. The truck sighed. It stayed longer than it should have. When it left, the engine carried a different posture. Slower, burdened. The echo it left behind was thicker, dirtier. Empty came. Full went. I did not think escape yet. Hope is dangerous when it arrives too early. But I remembered. The next month I waited. Victor's departure came the same way. Early, distracted, satisfied with himself. I counted his steps from the bedroom to the door. 22. I counted the seconds between the lock turning and the building's silence. 7. I sat on the floor and listened. 9 minutes. Engine. Same low patience. Same hollow appetite. This time I counted everything. The rhythm of the lift. The distance of voices. The way sound traveled through concrete and came back altered. I counted how long the truck stayed. I counted how long it took to leave. I counted how my heart behaved when I realized this was not coincidence. By the third month I knew the pattern. Once. Only once. Every month. Always when Victor was gone. Always long enough to matter. I walked the apartment in my bare feet, mapping it again with new intention. Doorways. Corners. Places cameras might sleep. Places they never bothered to hide. I began to practice stillness. I lay on the bed and learned how my breathing sounded when I pretended to sleep. I folded blankets to imitate weight. I listened to myself from across the room. This was no longer observation. This was rehearsal. On the 4th month, when the engine came and the building hummed its secret, I pressed my forehead to the wall and let myself feel something dangerous. Not hope. Resolve. The truck did not know my name. Did not care who I was. It only knew how to take what others wanted gone. And I understood then, clear, steady, terrifying. If I was ever going to leave this perfumed cage, it would not be through doors. It would be through what no one bothered to look at twice. I learned I was not alone by accident. It happened in the smallest way, through sound slipping where it shouldn't have. Victor was gone again. The building had loosened its grip and I moved quietly, counting steps, listening past walls the way my gift had taught me. Near the service corridor the air changed. Not colder, heavier. Saturated with something lived in and afraid. Then I heard it. A breath that wasn't mine. Not close. Not clear. But human. I froze. At first I told myself it was memory playing tricks. The mind inventing company to survive loneliness. But memory does not breathe back. I stepped closer. My cane kissed the floor lightly. Another breath answered, shallow and controlled, the way someone breathes when they've learned silence keeps them alive. Hello. I whispered, not loud enough to be heard by cameras, only by those listening for mercy. The answer came as a tremor, barely sound. A sob swallowed before it finished being born. My chest tightened. I followed the sound to a door I had passed a dozen times and never questioned. No markings. No handle on my side. The air there was wrong, crowded, layered with fear and disinfectant. How many of you? I asked, my voice breaking. Pause. Then, too many. The word collapsed into tears. Another voice joined it. Younger. Older. I could not tell. Trauma blurs age. He comes and goes, someone whispered. Sometimes they take one. Sometimes they bring another. They. Not him. The truth landed slowly so it would hurt longer. This was not desire. Not impulse. Not a man gone wrong. It was a system. Schedules. Rooms. Transport. Silence bought and sold. The garbage truck roared in my memory. Empty in, full out. I pressed my palm to the wall, grounding myself before my knees gave out. The vision returned, not fully, just an echo. White cloth, steady cross, waiting book. How long? I asked. Long enough, a voice said. Too long. I leaned my forehead against the cold surface and closed my eyes, useless as ever. Inside something hardened, not into anger, not into hate, but into clarity. They had not taken me by chance. They had not kept me by mistake. And they would not let me go out of kindness. One of the girls whispered, "Don't fight. Fighting makes it worse." I swallowed. My throat burned. "I won't fight," I said. They exhaled in relief. "I'll leave," I added. "Or I'll die trying." Silence followed, not fear this time, but something like belief, afraid to stand up too quickly. When I stepped away from the wall, my hands were steady. My heart was not. But resolve does not require calm, only truth. Back in the apartment, I lay on the bed and listened to the building breathe. The blankets rose and fell where my body should be. The cameras blinked their blind faith. This was no longer about surviving one man. It was about ending a pattern. And I understood with a certainty that frightened me more than captivity ever had. I was not waiting for rescue. I was becoming it. The night I chose was quiet enough to lie. Victor left early. Keys impatient, coat brushed once, certainty humming in his steps. I waited until the building settled into its practiced forgetfulness. Then I moved. First the bed. I learned my body's absence had a sound. I folded blankets to imitate weight, pressed pillows where breath would lift fabric, smoothed the sheet the way I always did when I was meant to be asleep. I stood across the room and listened. It fooled me. That would have to be enough. I whispered an apology to the girl I was leaving behind and turned toward the door. The service corridor smelled of bleach and old decisions. My cane tapped once, too loud, then again softer. I counted steps like prayers. Cameras blinked their blind faith. I walked where shadows swallowed sound. The engine came right on time. Oh, patient. Hungry. I waited for the lift's groan, the hollow clap of metal kissing metal. When the container opened, air rushed out. Rank, chemical, alive with the ghosts of things people wanted gone. Now my heart said. I climbed. The inside of the truck was a mouth. I felt its teeth in the cold steel, its breath in the fumes that burned my eyes. I crouched low and held my breath. Somewhere above me a man whistled. Somewhere else a latch slammed. Then it happened, the pour. Liquid splashed over me, sharp and sour, searing through cloth and skin. My lungs screamed. I bit down and swallowed the sound. The chemicals ate scent, ate touch, ate identity. I understood their purpose even as panic clawed. Erase what can be found. I pressed my face into my sleeve and prayed without words. The truck shuddered. The engine deepened. Movement claimed me. We drove. Time bent. The road spoke through vibration. Smooth stretches, sudden bumps, the long curve of something open. The air changed, grew wet and wide. Salt crept into my mouth. Gulls cried somewhere far above, rude and alive. Coast, my gift, whispered. Close. The truck slowed. A jolt threw me forward. My grip slipped. Panic surged, bright and blinding. I reached for anything, metal, rope, mercy, and found air. I fell. The world rushed up and took me hard. Pain bloomed white. Sand bit my skin. The sound of the ocean filled my ears, vast and indifferent and holy. I lay there, gasping, tasting rust and salt, listening to the truck pull away, empty again, unburdened, innocent. For a long moment I did not move. I pressed my palms into the ground and let the earth tell me I was real. Alive. The waves spoke. Wind touched my face. No walls answered back. I laughed once, small, broken, unbelieving, and then I cried because crying was finally safe. I had not escaped clean. I had not escaped whole. But I had escaped. And as the tide crept closer and the night opened its arms, I made myself a vow I could keep. I would not go back. I woke to the sound of breathing that did not belong to me. Not close. Not threatening. Measured. I lay still, every nerve awake, my body remembering pain faster than comfort. The room smelled clean, linen, antiseptic, something metallic beneath it. A hotel. Not luxury. Not cheap. Neutral. Safe in the way places are when someone powerful wants them invisible. You're awake, a man said. His voice did not reach for me. It waited. I turned my head toward the sound. If you're here to finish it, I said, do it quickly. Silence followed, not offended, not surprised. No, he said. If I wanted you dead, you wouldn't be breathing. I believed him instantly. Fear recognizes authority. Who are you? I asked. Pause. The kind people take when names carry weight. Lucien Vale. The name struck the air like a closed door. Even I had heard whispers, on streets in half-finished warnings. A man who did not miss. A man enemies disappeared around. You pulled me from the road, I said. It wasn't a question. Yes. Why? Another pause. Closer this time. Because you jumped from a truck that shouldn't exist, he said. And because people who do that are either insane, or already dead and don't know it yet. I swallowed. My throat burned. You followed the truck. I follow many things. He moved then. I felt the shift in air, the careful way he chose where to stand so I wouldn't feel cornered. Controlled. Trained. You can relax, Lucien said. No one knows you're here. I paid in cash. No cameras. No names. I laughed weakly. You say that like it's kindness. It's strategy, he replied. Kindness comes later. I turned my face toward his voice. My gift stirred, quiet, curious. He was dim. Not empty. Guarded. Like a room with all the lights off by choice. You listened to me on the road, I said. Most men don't. I listen before I decide, he said. You spoke like someone telling the truth without rehearsing it. My chest tightened. Everyone thinks I'm lying. Then they're bad judges, Lucien said simply. He did not touch me. Did not ask for proof. Did not demand details like currency. He sat where I could sense him and waited. So I spoke. Not everything. Not yet. But enough. About the house. The rooms. When I finished, my hands were shaking. Lucien exhaled slowly. Not angry. Focused. This isn't random, he said. It's organized. And it intersects with people I already hunt. My heart stuttered. You're an assassin. Yes. The word did not frighten me the way it should have. Then why help me? I asked. His voice softened, not warm but honest. Because monsters don't get to own survivors. And because light, real light, makes powerful enemies. The room seemed to expand around those words. You'll stay here tonight, he continued. Tomorrow we'll move you somewhere safer. You'll rest. You'll eat. You'll heal. And after that? I asked. Lucien stood. I felt it. The quiet readiness, the weight of a man who had ended lives and still slept at night. After that, he said, we make sure no one ever puts you in a truck again. For the first time since my 18th birthday, I believed the future had not already been decided. And in the dark, protected by a man the world feared. I slept without pretending to be someone else. Lucien slowed the car before the gate. He didn't park. He listened. Stay here, he said quietly. My heart tightened. Why? Because places remember things, he replied. And this one is lying. I shook my head before he finished the sentence. That's my home. Silence stretched between us, heavy with unsaid warnings. I'll knock, Lucien said. I'll ask for you. If anything feels wrong, anything, you stay in the car. I nodded. I meant to obey. But grief is louder than discipline. I heard his footsteps fade toward the door. I counted them without meaning to. 8. 10. The porch creaked. A woman's voice followed. My mother's voice. From where? She asked. Lucien answered calmly, deliberately. There's no one here by that name. The words hit me harder than any hand ever had. No one. By that name. My breath broke. Logic drowned. Hope surged, reckless and aching. I opened the door. Evelyn. Lucien turned sharply, but I was already walking, barefoot on memory, heart-leading body. The air shifted. I felt it. Someone inside noticed me. I smelled her before I touched her. Soap and old perfume and the faint metallic fear she never admitted to. Mom, I said. Her breath caught. Evelyn. Then arms wrapped around me. Tight. Desperate. Too fast. Oh my baby, Marilyn sobbed. I missed you. I missed you so much. Tears soaked my shoulder. I wanted to believe them. God, I wanted to. I forgot how much scent could lie. The moment I stepped fully inside, my heart lifted like it had been waiting at the door all along. My room still smelled like lavender soap and old books. The bedspread, my bedspread, held the faint warmth of childhood afternoons. My fingers traced the wall where I once measured my height with laughter. I made stew, my mother said. Your favorite. Joy rushed in before caution could stop it. She guided me gently, speaking softly, asking if I was tired, if I needed rest. She touched my hair, short now, and paused but said nothing. I told myself grief explained everything. I ate. I laughed quietly. I breathed. For the first time since the truck, my shoulders dropped. Outside, Lucien left. At least that's what it looked like. I didn't see him, but my gift stirred faintly, like a watchful eye refusing to blink. He hadn't gone far. He never did when something felt wrong. That evening my mother helped me undress, helped me into my old pajamas. She tucked me in the way she used to when storms scared me. Sleep, she whispered. You're home now. I believed her. Too easily. The sleep came fast. Heavy. Wrong. My body sank before my mind did. Somewhere between breath and darkness I felt it. A bitterness on my tongue. A weight behind my eyes. Jerk. My thoughts tried to rise but slipped back down like hands on oil. Outside, an engine passed once. Then again. Lucien was still there. He saw the black car slow without headlights. Saw it stop where shadows swallowed shape. Two men stepped out, quiet, trained, wrong. He moved first. The driver never made a sound. The door opened. Inside, my mother didn't scream. She stepped back. I was lifted from my bed like luggage. Zipped halfway into a long black bag, careless with my legs. My breath shallow. My name never spoken. They dragged me out. That was when Lucien struck. Metal met bone. Silence shattered. One man dropped. The other reached for a weapon that never mattered. Lucien pulled me free with shaking hands for the first time since I'd known him. Evelyn, he said urgently. Breathe. I've got you. I drifted between worlds, aware only of motion, of being carried, not owned. As the car sped away, I felt it fully then. The truth. Home hadn't been a mistake. It had been a trap. And my mother had said it. The first morning I woke in a bed that wasn't meant to trap me, I counted my breaths before I moved. Pain still lived in my limbs, a quiet tyrant reminding me I had survived. But the cage, the one that had measured my life in fear, was gone. Lucien had arranged it carefully. A safe apartment, a doctor who understood trauma, medicine to soothe the fire in my body, therapy to untangle the knots in my mind. I hated it at first. The pills felt like chains. The questions felt like knives. How are you today? They asked. I wanted to answer with screams, but I learned silence could be its own rebellion. Slowly it changed. Medicine dulled the throb in my legs. Therapy taught me that pain could exist without control. And rest, the simplest thing in the world, allowed me to return to myself. Not the girl I had been, not the girl they had stolen, but someone entirely new. Someone capable of breathing without fear. School came next. A place meant for blind students, where sight was not required but insight was demanded. I walked halls with a cane and ears sharp as a hawk, my gift humming quietly beneath my skin. I learned to read law, the structures of justice, the rules that protect, or fail, the innocent. I discovered that even in a world that had almost ended me, knowledge was a weapon. And then the visions returned. Not vague or fleeting this time. Futures unfolded before me in silver threads. Moments that had not yet happened but could be shaped by choices, by courage, by clarity. I saw paths of danger and roads of salvation. I could smell deceit in a room before it was spoken. I could feel intent in a hand that shook. The gift, once a curse that had warned me of approaching death, now whispered of possibilities. It hummed with power and responsibility. I learned to walk with it, not rely on it blindly. My mind sharpened, my heart healed, my soul learned patience. One afternoon I stood in the classroom, cane resting against the desk. The voices around me blurred. I closed my eyes and saw the future for a girl I had never met. I guided her hand, suggested the steps, and felt her path shift, a little safer, a little brighter. Tears came quietly. I had survived the worst, and now survival meant more than breathing. It meant choosing, shaping, guiding. It meant using the gift not as a warning but as a light. And for the first time since my 18th birthday I truly felt it. I was reborn. Not merely alive. Not merely saved. Alive, awake and luminous. Every scar, every shadow, every stolen breath had led me here. And now I was ready. Lucien did not act without certainty. His men had watched. Every step, every sigh, every routine at Marilyn Harper's house mapped with precision. They waited for the house to empty, for doors to be locked and alarms to be meaningless. The silence inside the walls was a signal. Then they moved. I felt it from afar though I could not see it. My gift hummed faintly, warning me. Something long buried was about to surface. The raid was surgical. No shouting, no chaos. Just careful hands opening drawers, moving papers, scanning every corner for secrets hidden in plain sight. The smell of dust and old ink, the faint metallic hint of blood in unexpected places. They catalogued it all. What they found made even Lucien pause. Documents, letters, journals. Photographs, some faded, some fresh. Police files carefully hidden. And the truth. Marilyn Harper, my mother, my guardian, my betrayer, had murdered her husband. Not only that, but she had also killed her own sister. My real mother. I had always wondered about the absence, the way her presence had shaped my life through lies. Now I understood. She had carved my world to hide her guilt. Then the files revealed the act that had changed everything. My blindness. Age 5. Deliberate. Calculated. My sight stolen to control me, to keep me compliant, to manipulate me into silence while she buried her crimes. Every memory clicked. Every fear, every missing week, every unexplained bruise, every shadow I had sensed in rooms too bright, they all belonged to her design. Lucien's men documented everything, photographing evidence, cross-checking police reports, and reopening the case that had long gone cold. I sat quietly in the apartment, feeling the weight of revelation press into my chest. The world I had trusted, the home I had thought was mine, had been built on corpses and deception. Tears came slowly. Not for Victor, not for the cages or the trucks or the months of torment. For the life stolen before I had learned to understand it. For a mother who had destroyed me to hide herself. For the sister I never knew. Lucien spoke then, softly, as if he feared that sound alone could shatter me further. Evelyn, he said. It's all here. Every lie. Every crime. Every chain broken and every one they left behind. Justice isn't fast, but now it can start. I nodded, a single movement that carried years of pain. My heart raced, but my mind was steady. Truth was no longer a whisper. Truth was now a roaring tide. And I would ride on. The morning was quiet, but it carried a weight I could feel in my chest. Marilyn Harper was taken in handcuffs, escorted past streets that had whispered my childhood secrets. Her face, once so polished, now showed every lie she had ever lived. Justice had a slow pace, but it had arrived. Lucien's work was not done. Victor Kane, the man who had haunted my nights and claimed ownership of my body, was exposed. His empire dismantled, his men scattered, his name a caution whispered in fear. Power that once seemed untouchable crumbled under scrutiny, strategy and consequence. And I, Evelyn Harper, stood in the light of my own making. Blind, yes, yet seeing in ways the eyes alone could never perceive. I walked through streets I had once imagined trapped behind walls. My cane tapped lightly, a rhythm of freedom. The visions returned gently, like dawn spilling across water, showing me moments yet to come. Choices, paths, redemption. I touched the air and felt it sing. Life stretched before me not as a cage but as possibility. The pain of the past still lingered in my bones, but it no longer dictated my steps. In the silence of my apartment, the white cloth, the cross and the Bible, the vision from so long ago, glimmered in memory. They no longer asked questions. They whispered only this: survive, thrive, youth. And I understood fully now. Light was never meant to blind, only to reveal. I breathed deeply. For the first time in years the air was mine. And I said quietly to myself, smiling through tears, I was never blind, only early. Thanks for watching. Hey there. If you enjoy this journey and want to join our amazing community, don't forget to subscribe. Your support means the world and you'll never miss an exciting update, story or adventure. Let's grow together. Hit that subscribe button and stay connected.